Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Scott Flip Customized, and today we have another rough country video, installation video coming at you. And what it is, it's installing a set of fender flares to replace these OEM flares on this 2018 Toyota Tacoma. Why would you do that? Well, for instance, if you're putting a wider set of wheels and tires, you lifted your truck. For instance, this one. We just finished a full 4-inch lift kit. We've got a set of offset rough country wheels and tires are putting on it. They're going to poke out a little bit. So the customer opted for the Defender series fender flares. What they're going to do is we're going to be removing the stock fender flares and putting these on for an extra 2 inches of tire coverage. So in all reality, you keep your vehicle cleaner, they look cool, and you can get them in paint to match. So with that being said, paint to match, it's just a paint code drop down when you're going to order these. This is the Defender series or any of them. They offer it in all of them. You can go ahead and pick your paint code if they do list it and get them paint to match. This customer wanted them just in the flat black. They wanted the contrast against this gray truck. So that's entirely up to your customer or you. But what we're going to do today, I'll take you through what you get in the box here. And you only see 2 here, but there's actually a set of 4. And then I'll walk you through some basic installation instructions on how to get these things installed. Let's go. All right, here it is. Depending on the style flare you get will depend on some of the installation differences a little bit, but in general, the rough country flares will all get installed the same way. The Defender series, like I said, it's an extra 2 inches of coverage. They have a rivet style, so we're going to be installing rivets in these. If you got like the smooth flares, you wouldn't be installing the rivets. They have this weather seal where it's going to meet your vehicle to prevent chafing, and they come with a couple brackets. Now, again, this is a set of 4. Let's get into it. Step 1, what you're going to do is you want to lay a blanket down or something like that so you can flip these flares over and go ahead and work on them. What we're going to be doing first is get yourself a nice pair of scissors, something sharp, and you're going to go ahead and we're going to be installing the weather strip on the flares first. As you can see, we have a first flare laying upside down on the blanket, and everyone is labeled so you know where it's going to go. You got your weather stripping. It is a big roll, and it has some 3M tape built right into it. Basically, you can see the shape of it here. This section here is where it's going to meet your body line to keep the dirt and debris out from getting behind your flare. So basically, you're going to start on the edge of the flare. Let me get it. I'm just setting it on here now so you can kind of see it like this. So this section here meets the actual body of the truck. What you're going to do is you're going to peel a section of that red tape back 2 to 3 inches and then continue to do that pattern and working that weather strip all around the upper outside of this fender flare until you get all the way to the end here. When you get to the end, you're going to cut it off. Again, working 2 to 3 inches of the tape at a time so you don't get ahead of yourself. You go ahead and stick that baby on there until it's all done. And then, yeah, you move on to the next one. So it's a rinse and repeat. Let me show you what I mean. So as you can see, I've started this one and peeled back, 3-4 inches, whatever that is, and I'm kind of working it as I go. I stuck this section on. I'll peel another 3 or 4 inches, stick that section on, and continue to work my way around. And this is what I was talking about, where it meets the vehicle itself. And this will adhere better once it's mounted on the vehicle itself, but we're going to do that on all 4, so I'll get back to you. One thing worth noting is it's going to take some patience because it takes a while to get the weather stripping on the fender flares, just because you want to take your time and do a good job. So set aside a couple, 2-3 hours to do this installation. As far as there's a lot of prep work that you do before you even get to the truck. So just keep that in mind. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead, since we got our weather stripping on there, we're going to go ahead and put our rivet heads or rivets on each one of these. You're going to need a T45 for the head and a 1/2-inch wrench for the back. You're going to go through with a washer underneath the head of this. From front to back, you're going to push it on through. And in the back here, you're going to throw a nut on it and tighten down with your 1/2-inch wrench. Now, this is a looks. It's for style, as you can see there. So you're going to go ahead and do that at the same time you do your weather stripping. You got your flare on the bench here. You do the weather strip on this one. You put all your rivets on. So you're good to go for installation after that. All right, I wanted to follow up with the T45. It's actually in the hardware kit. So they even hook you up. You can just use a nut driver or something and put that baby in there. That's pretty sweet. All right, guys, we're over here on the side of the truck now, the Tacoma, and we're going to be removing the factory flares. Step 1, the mud flaps have to go. Those are actually covering the factory flares up. I'm not sure. I don't believe that you're going to put these back on. I don't think they work with the aftermarket flares, and to be honest with you, they look tacky. you may need this plastic trim tool because behind the panel up into here, there's a bunch of little plastic, I guess, rivet, tab, plastic vehicle snap things. I can't remember the name of them, but you might need to take it out, but sometimes not so much. But you're going to start with removing all the fasteners up along the inner fender well. Most of them are just a 10mm socket. There is one up here with a flathead that you're going to turn 90, as well as one down below here. So I'm going to go ahead and get this fender flare off and start moving these fasteners. Then I'll get right back with you. I also wanted to mention we're going to start with the front because there's an additional bracket that you're going to put on up underneath here. So we'll kind of take you through the steps of that. We'll attach one front one and one rear one so you can kind of see the process on both of these. But once all your fasteners are out, you're going to go ahead and start pulling the fender flare away. It's hard to do with one hand, but that's essentially what you're going to do. And don't be surprised if you see paint or anything else that might have been chafed over time. Once the fender flare is off, you're going to see some factory clips in there. You can take vice grips and go ahead and pull these out. It won't interfere with the flare, so if you wanted to leave them in, you could. However, it's possible they could rattle. I don't think so. I have not had an issue with that. And a little bit of sticky foam that you can go ahead and peel off of there as well. Give this thing a wipe down, clean it up, and we will start with the bracket I was talking about. Now, on the inner fender brackets that they come with, like I said, there's one the right front and left front. You're going to be supplied these retainers right here for the screw to fasten into. You're going to put two in, right? You'll have one here and one here. Then we'll get into installing it. All right, this step putting the bracket on can be a little tricky as far as how it's going to install. If you get up inside the fender on the top, there's 3 holes. 1, 2, 3. Those 3 holes are going to go and line up with the 3 holes that are open like this. So this piece will literally go up like so. Holding it right like this, it's gonna go like that in those 3 holes. And you're gonna go ahead and hold that in place with the supplied hex screws that they give you. Then your flare will screw into those clips, the nut clips, I guess you'd call them, that we put on just before. So we're gonna get this mounted with the 3 screws, then put the flare on. All right, I'll swing up underneath. You can kind of see what it looks like installed. Just like so. And your flare will screw into here and there. Okay, now the fender flare installation. Now they are labeled right hand front, which is where we're working. You're gonna start with the 2 center screws that are in the bracket that you just put on. So you could do this with a partner. I can't do this with one hand, hold it up, but essentially you're gonna put the flare on, hold it up, start these 2 screws. You're gonna go ahead and snug them up while pushing inward so the seal meets the fender. And then you're gonna work your way around, get them started, pushing in on the fender flare as you tighten them down so you get a good seal on the body of the truck. And again, once all your fasteners are in and snug, double check and keep an eye on this as you're installing that your seal is good and tight against the body of the vehicle all the way around. Then we'll go ahead and move on to the back. And anyone who's wondering about the mud flaps, if you did want to use them, no, they're not designed to use with the fender flares. However, if you have any fab skills or modification skills, you can go ahead and manipulate those and trim them to get them to fit if you wanted to. You would have to drill some holes in the flare and everything, but I don't recommend it. All right, now we're in the rear of the vehicle. If your vehicle doesn't have flares and it has like a factory trim piece, like this would carry on all the way to here if you didn't have the flare, that would have to be removed to run the flares. However, this has got the flares, so we got to remove the factory flares, much like the front. We're going to undo the fasteners, pull away from the clips that are there, and remove the mud flap. And same thing as the front. You're going to grip this primarily with 2 hands, one on the inside, one on the out, and you're going to work your way around, lifting and getting the clips to loosen up and break away. And then you're going to go ahead and remove that adhesive as well, wipe it down, then we'll put the new one on. Now we're installing the rear. I got 1 screw in. I like to start with the 2 center ones. Again, applying pressure to keep that seal tight against the body of the truck. You can use a partner if you'd like, and go ahead and get these fasteners screwed all the way in. There is no additional bracket on the rear. It's just a fender flare replacing a fender flare. And these do cover more. So anything that you might have damage-wise where your other one was riding, you're not gonna see that anymore because this covers it up. Remember, you get 2 extra inches of protection there. So we're gonna go ahead and continue to put these fasteners in, and I'll catch up with you. All right, 2 things you might have noticed. The truck is up on a lift and the wheels and tires are not on the truck. Doesn't need to be on the lift, and you can do this with the wheels and tires on the truck. However, a lift makes it easier because you can work at waist level without bending over or being down on your knees, but you can do this in a driveway. 2, Wheels and tires, you can work around them. I find it easier to remove them. We're putting a new set of rough country wheels and tires on this thing anyway, so it didn't really matter. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat the process on the other side, get it all done, catch back up with you. After I put the wheels on, we get this outside and show you what it looks like. We're outside. Here it is in all its glory. Now this, we just put a 4-inch lift in it with some 18-inch wheels, 33-inch tall tires, and it really complements well with these fender flares. Check it out. So even though it's an aggressive or a moderately aggressive stance, the tread is not sticking out beyond the fender well. It matches very, very nice with this truck. They are a nice looking setup. Complements the truck very, very, very well. They fit nice, they're sleek. Oh yeah, I'm digging these. So as always, guys, thank you for watching Flip and Customize, another rough country install video. I hope this helped you. The procedure is generally the same on most trucks, but they are going to vary slightly. But on the Tacoma themselves, you pretty much got it if you're going to do a Tacoma. So I'm going to drop the link in the description to the flares that we installed to get you over there and get them purchased. As always, thank you for watching. Go ahead and drop a comment, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Scott, Flip Customized.